I'm going to talk a little bit about aliases and the info window in this section. Previously, when I talked about packages, if you recall, I held down the Option key and dragged an application, TextEdit, to the desktop, and the plus sign indicated that I was making a copy of it. Now, what I'm going to do now is do something different. I select that, and I can come up here and use the Command L keyboard equivalent or the Make Alias command in the File menu, and I've made an alias to it, and that's where this little arrow shows up that you've seen occasionally on files or folders. If I drag the alias to the desktop, the little arrow still shows up here in its icon. This is similar to what I did when I copied TextEdit, but I do not have a duplicate. I have one file, but it now appears to be in two different places. If I were to open the alias, I would in fact be opening this file. Now, why would you want to do this? There are several reasons why you want to do this. One is if you want something to be in several apparent places at once. You can create a folder called My Projects, which might have some of the documents that you normally would put in your Documents folder, but you can put them there as aliases. And if there happens to be a document that applies to two different projects, instead of putting it in two different places so that when you edit it they will get out of sync with one another, you can put the document in one place and an alias in another place, so that no matter where you have opened the file from, you are opening the same underlying file because you're looking at an alias. It's a very, very useful technique. Now, how can you tell what's going on? One way of doing that is come over here and select an alias and use the Get Info command from the File menu. And what that does is it shows us information about the selected item. And here it says the kind of the item is an alias. I can do Get Info for the actual underlying item, and there is that window, and I'm going to minimize this window, and you can see that the difference between the alias and the underlying item is that the alias file is much smaller. This is the length of any alias, and the length of any file is exactly what that file needs. You can see where it is. This is on the desktop, and this is in Documents, and you can see when it was created. The alias was created today. In the case of an alias, we can also see what the original document is. So here's the link from the alias to the underlying document. I can change what the original is. So if I've got an alias, this does not apply over here. If I have an alias, I can attach it to another file. And there's more and more information that I can look at down here that I'll get to in a few moments. So what aliases give us is the ability to apparently put a single file in multiple places at one time. Anything that you do when you open the alias, you do to the underlying file. If I drag the alias to the trash and empty the trash, I have removed the alias, and the info window closed because it no longer exists. However, if I come back here, the original document, the Bridge 728 document, which is right over here, still exists because what I put into the trash and erased was the alias, not the underlying file. So when you open an alias, you open the underlying file. But when you move an alias or put it in the trash, you are working with the alias because you're not opening it. It's only the alias that's affected at that moment.